Welcome to Learn How Scrum Works in 30 Minutes course. Based on my previous experience, I've created this user-friendly course so I can help individuals interested in Scrum to understand the basis of Scrum and to decide if this funny, profitable, but challenging career is right for you. This course is short, but still very clearly indicates the optimal Scrum learning path and guides you in the right direction so you gain all necessary skills with the right sources and tools needed to work as a Scrum Master or Product Owner. And there are no prerequisites for this course. Everyone can join. I will explain everything from the ground up. You will surely find some great things in this course in between the lines, namely my passion invested into making my communication with you original, useful and attractive. Even though this course is very short, please check the description of this course because we will cover a lot of things here. Now, a couple things about me. My name is Dejan and I'm Master of Computer Science and Information Technology, Product Owner, Scrum Master, Agile Coach and Trainer of Trainers. Digital entrepreneur with more than 60 international certificates in different areas of information technology. And I'm also online teacher with more than 60,000 online students from all over the world. And I'm very passionate about Agile and Scrum. So let's be Agile. Let's dive in right away.
Course overview. I will show you how Scrum works. Scrum implements the scientific method of empiricism, and we will talk about that as well. I will show you why Scrum works and where Scrum can be used. I will also show you benefits of Scrum, your next steps, and key takeaways from this course. And this is me. I'm conducting this training. I'm Product Owner, Scrum Master, Agile Coach, and Trainer of Trainers. And let's go with one joke I want to tell you. Knock, knock. Who's there? The user. The user who? Yep, you are at Microsoft. Okay, here are important points from this course. When you see this icon on top right corner of your screen, this means that this topic requires deeper learning. Next, please be encouraged to ask questions on anything that you want. And make sure you read 14-page Scrum Guide 2020 before you continue with this course. And you can find Scrum Guide here. And I have one quote from Ken Schreiber. Scrum is like your mother-in-law. It points out all your faults. Now, what if we found ourselves building something that nobody wanted? In that case, what did it matter if we did it on time, on budget, and with high quality? So has this ever happened to you? And we will start with Agile market share. Although many different Agile frameworks and methodologies exist, very few of them are in use today. Now let's take a look at these latest industry trends and see what the most popular options are. As we can see from the statistical data, Scrum is the most popular Agile framework today. Scrum was created in 1995 by Ken Schreiber and Jeff Sutherland. And according to the latest trends, there is no other Agile approach that comes close to the popularity of Scrum. But the question remains, how many of the companies that say that use Scrum use them properly? Is it Scrum they run, or is it the self-made creation that brings below average results? And this is why a good Scrum Master can be an invaluable asset, especially for organizations that only begin their Scrum journey.
Scrum encourages teams to learn through experiences, self-organize while working on a problem and reflecting on their wins and losses to improve continuously. While software development teams more frequently use Scrum, Its principles and lessons can be used for all kinds of non-IT related teamwork.
Scrum is a framework within which people can address complex adaptive problems while productively and creatively delivering products of the highest possible value. And Scrum itself is a lightweight framework for effective team collaboration on complex products. So why is it simple framework? Well, because it's written on 14 pages only, and you can read it in no time. In fact, read it right now if you haven't before. Scrum co-creators Ken Schreiber and Jeff Sutherland have written the Scrum Guide to explain Scrum clearly. This guide contains the definition of Scrum, and this definition consists of Scrum roles, events, artifacts, and the rules that bind them together. And Scrum is also simple to understand and difficult to master. And you can compare Scrum to chess for that matter. It is easy to learn the rules of chess. Which piece is allowed to make which move when you win, when you lose, and so on. So, however, when you play against an experienced opponent, you quickly discover that you have no clue how to play this game properly. To win such a game, one has to train over and over, gain knowledge and skills by trying, failing, and trying again. So yes, it's difficult to master. And why is it difficult to master?
Scrum demands changing culture, which difficult is to achieve. If an organization adopts Scrum from the traditional approach, it requires a lot of skills, training, and coaching for all the Scrum roles. Each of Scrum roles has much broader responsibilities than you would typically find in traditional waterfall-driven environment.
So here are main reasons why Scrum difficult to master. The roles of all team members in Scrum process are much more difficult. Scrum is an adaptive process and requires a lot of skills and judgment. Scrum requires organizational transformation. And there are many challenging situations where you can find yourself in, and not all of these situations are described in the Scrum Guide. Now, during the sprint, no changes are made that would endanger the sprint goal, and we will talk about sprint goal in just a second. Quality does not decrease. The product backlog is refined as needed, and the scope may be clarified and renegotiated with the product owner as more is learned.
Scrum artifacts represent work of value. They are designed to maximize transparency of key information. Thus, everyone inspecting them has the same basis for adoption. And before we get into details about Scrum artifacts, let's cover a product itself first. When we look at a product, its life cycle ends when there are no more users who want to use it or when it no longer provides value for the company. As a result, a product will be continuously produced as long as it's still being utilized by users or providing value for the organization. Now let's continue with the Scrum artifacts.
So the first one is product backlog. The product backlog is an emerged, ordered list of what is needed to improve the product. It is the single source of work undertaken by the Scrum team. The second one is sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is composed of the sprint goal, Y, the set of product backlog items or PBIs selected for the sprint, what, as well as the actionable plan for delivering the increment, how. And we have increment. An increment is concrete stepping stone toward the product goal. Each increment is additive to all prior increments and thoroughly verified, ensuring that all increments work together. And also we have definition of done. Think of definition of done as what the organization requires before it can deliver product backlog items or PBIs to the end user. In software, the definition of done may be done means coded to standards, reviewed, implemented with unit test driven development, tested with 100% test automation, integrated and documented. In context of service, it might look something like done means every task under the user story has been completed and any work created is attached to the user story so that product owner can review it and make sure it meets his or her expectations. Welcome to the Scrum Values lecture. Now we have 5 values added to the Scrum framework that each member of the team uses to guide his decision making. Not a lot of people know and understand these values, but they are crucial to the successful implementation of Scrum. Successful use of Scrum depends on people becoming more proficient in living these 5 values. So the first one is courage. So the Scrum team members dare to do the right thing and work on tough problems. The team members support each other in doing the right thing and in taking informed risks, so that we may learn and improve along our path to greatness, which includes admitting that nobody is perfect, delivering undone versions of the product, sharing all possible information to help the team and organization, and admitting that there is no perfect requirement capturing and facing fast changes in the reality. Okay, now next we have focus. Everyone focuses on the work of the sprint and the goals of the sprint Scrum team. So Scrum team have a time box of 1 month or less in which they produce a valuable product increment. So to do this successfully, it requires that the team can focus on the task at hand. Once the team is focused, they can dedicate all of their efforts to resolving the problems and completing their goals in the simplest way possible. Without focus, Scrum team can easily become distracted by support issues, on-demand work, emails, meetings, etc., and lose a real power of focusing iterative incremental approach of Scrum. Scrum team members must be committed to success and be willing to create realistic goals and stick to them. You must participate. It's an all-in situation where you are part of a team, and your job is to work together to meet your commitments. Fortunately, the Scrum model ensures that you have the authority and freedom to do just that. Openness is the next Scrum value. When Scrum team and stakeholders adopt full transparency regarding the project and its associated challenges, it means everyone is literally on the same page and can progress as a single cohesive unit. Transparency requires openness and honesty, especially when the team members face work challenges in their work. Each member must be open about any issues that may encounter so that the team can collectively inspect and try to improve the problem. Being able to ask for help in this situation is vital for the success of any Scrum team. And lastly, we have respect. Respect is another important value of Scrum, where the Scrum team should respect the opinion of team members. Every team member should have the right to present their opinion. Not only product owner, but also Scrum Master and the team should have the respect the team members' opinion to achieve the sprint goal. The Scrum team should respect the colleagues and their opinions and their experiences. Welcome to the Scrum Team Lecture. The fundamental unit of Scrum is a Scrum team, typically between 10 or fewer people. The Scrum team consists of 1 product owner, developing and explicitly communicating the product backlog, which includes creating and clearly communicating product backlog items to the rest of the team, and then ordering product backlog items by its value and by its risk, and ensuring that the product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood. To succeed as a Scrum product owner, you must own the four following things. First one, the budget for creating the product should be owned by the product owner. So when you think about it, how can a product owner take risks that will increase the product value and return of investment when the product owner doesn't even have control over the money for development? Okay, now second thing, aside from the budget, the product owner should have access to additional financial data that is required to maximize the product return of investment. For product development, information such as balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow is needed. Third, the long-term vision for the product must be owned by the product owner. And this long-term vision may be realized in another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or even more than 10 years. But to be able to own this long-term vision for the product owner must have the authority to say no. Say no to anything that may delay the realization of the product goal. And if the product owner does not have the authority to say no, that's the problem. And lastly, the product owner should be in charge of the product strategy. At the strategic level, the product owner should spend more time than at tactical level. Someone else in the firm should not own the strategy for achieving the product goal and vision, since this will make the product owner feel disempowered. And then we have one Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is accountable for the Scrum team effectiveness. They are tasked with making sure everyone understands Scrum theory and practice. So the Scrum Master serves the team by coaching developers or anybody working on the sprint increment, product owner and organization on ways to enhance performance. He facilitates the Scrum events effectively and repeatedly. He protecting the Scrum team from interruptions and making work visible to Scrum team and stakeholders. He is also responsible for creating a process improvements to ensure continuous improvement. Scrum Masters are leaders who serve, not managers. So to be successful, you have to continue learning, but not just passive learning, like reading books or taking online courses. And this is okay if you are doing that. I mean active learning. So to deliberately put yourself in a position to be part of a local Scrum team, to teach someone in one period of time, or you can facilitate one of the available Scrum events in your area. And finally, we have developers. Developers are the people in Scrum team that are committed to creating any aspect of usable increment for each sprint. The specific skills needed to be developers are often broad and will vary with the domain of your work. Scrum team are cross-functional, meaning that members have all the necessary skills needed to create value for each sprint. And they are also self-managing, meaning that they internally decide who does what, when, and how.
It is important to understand that the Scrum framework does not recognize any specific roles like analyst, tester, architect, designer, etc. Not that these roles do not exist, but Scrum just recognizes all these roles just as developers.
And we have stakeholders. And they are not part of the Scrum team, but they are an important part of the product development. The stakeholder is responsible for conveying his wishes and concerns to the product owner, or else the product owner would not be responsible for his project quality and time duration. So the stakeholder has to provide regular input to the queries from the product owner. Prioritizing the work effectively with the product owner is another job that the stakeholder has to do to ensure this product development. And keep taking updates or keep giving updates regarding any changes in plan. Welcome to the Product Vision, Product Goal and Sprint Goal lecture. So the product vision describes the purpose of a product, the intention with which product is being created and what it aims to achieve for customers and users. The product vision describes the future state of the product and what problems it tries to resolve or what ambitions it is trying to fulfill. The traditional format of a product vision statement uses the same format as the positioning statement. And why is that? And because the position statement focuses on the customer and the benefits that the product brings to them. And you can use this template to formulate your product vision statement. Now let me give you a product vision example. Be the leading online bookstore in the US. And now we have a product goal. Product goal describes the future state of the product and its long-term objective for the Scrum team. And let me give you one product goal example. Launch a website that allows sales to customers in the New York area. Sprint goal is a shared high-level objective that describes the key outcomes for each sprint that the Scrum team undertakes. In the same way that the product vision guides the long-term direction of a product, the sprint goal guides the development of why it is building the current increment. And sprint goal example would be create a basic web shop structure. Or another example, build capability to list and purchase ebooks using a credit cards. Welcome to the Scrum Events lecture. Official Scrum events are sometimes called ceremonies, or sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Let's start with the sprint. It is container for all other events. Each event in Scrum is formal opportunity to inspect and adapt Scrum artifacts. Sprints are the heartbeat of Scrum, where ideas are turned into value. All work necessary to achieve the product goal, including official Scrum events, happen within a sprint. The sprint is a time box of 1 month or less in which the Scrum team will deliver a sprint goals. Sprint planning is an event in the Scrum that kicks off the sprint. The purpose of a sprint planning is to define what can be delivered in the sprint and how that work will be achieved. Sprint planning is done in collaboration with the whole Scrum team. Daily Scrum. So after sprint planning, the team gets to work and meets every day for the daily Scrum. All team members working on the sprint backlog needs to attend and should stand up to keep this meeting short, not longer than 15 minutes. The sprint review is an informal meeting which the developers, Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the stakeholders will attend. The team gives a demo of the product and will determine what are finished and what aren't. Sprint retrospective is the last thing done in a sprint. Many teams will do it immediately after the sprint review. The entire team, including both the Scrum Master and the Product Owner, should participate. And you can schedule a Scrum retrospective for up an hour, which is usually quite sufficient. Timeboxing in Scrum. So under Scrum framework, all activities are time-boxed, also known as timeboxing or time-boxed, which give you a fixed length, time, segment to a specific event or activity. That unit of time is called a time box. And the goal of time boxing is to define and limit the amount of time dedicated to an activity. Scrum uses time boxing for all of the Scrum events. Empirical process control, or empiricism, means working in a fact-based, experience-based, and evidence-based manner. Scrum implements an empirical process control where progress is based on observation of reality, not fictitious plans. And the 3 pillars of empiricism are as follows. Transparency. So transparency allows all facets of any Scrum process to be observed by anyone. This means presenting the facts as is. This promotes an easy and transparent flow of information throughout the organization and creates an open work culture. Inspection. Inspection in this context is not an inspection by inspector or an auditor, but an inspection by everyone on the Scrum team. And you can use Scrum Board and other information radiators which show the progress of the Scrum team on completing the tasks in the current sprint. Also, you can use a collection of feedback from the customer and other stakeholders during the sprint planning and sprint review, so you can develop user stories, create prioritized product backlog, and conduct release planning process. And finally, we have adaptation. Adaptation in this context is about continuous improvement, the ability to adapt based on the results of the inspection. Adaptation happens as the Scrum core team and stakeholders learn throughout transparency and inspection and then adapt by making improvements in the work they are doing.
Scrum works not because it has 3 roles, 5 events, and 3 artifacts, but because it adheres to the underlying Agile principles of iterative, value-based incremental delivery by frequently gathering customers' feedback and embracing change. This result is faster time to market, better delivery predictability, increased customer responsiveness, ability to change direction by managing changing priorities, and enhanced software quality, and of course, improvement risk management.
Where Scrum can be used. Scrum can be used by anyone who needs to produce an end product, such as a web page, software program, or even a construction project. Scrum is an Agile framework that can be applied to any project in any industry. Scrum has been used to develop software, hardware, embedded software, networks, autonomous vehicles, schools, government, marketing, managing the operation of our organization, and almost everything we use in our daily lives, as individuals and societies. Benefits of Scrum. Implementing a new project management method for your team will come with challenges. But Scrum offers plenty of unique advantages that you can articulate to your team and other stakeholders as you make the switch. So first one is adaptability. Agile Scrum projects involve frequent check-ins and updates, so if a project needs to change, it won't languish for weeks before someone notices. You will be able to identify a problem or necessary change and pivot quickly without losing weeks of work. Plus, your project sees continuous improvement over its lifespan rather than a few periods of a big change. Visibility. Stakeholders have the option to see a project's progress throughout its lifespan, not just at certain intervals around the beginning, middle, and end. They feel more involved, as does the entire team, allowing everyone to collaborate and watch the project move from start to finish. Efficiency. Any Agile process aims to do more work more effectively, and if you and your team execute Scrum well, you will see those results. More relevant metrics. The metrics the Scrum team use to estimate time and cost, measure project performance, and make progress decisions are often more relevant and more accurate than metrics on traditional projects. Increased collaboration and ownership. When Scrum team take responsibility for project and products, they can produce great results. Higher team morale. Working with happy people who enjoy their jobs can be satisfying and rewarding. Self-management puts decisions that would normally be made by a manager or the organization into Scrum team members' hands. And lastly, increased return of investment. The decrease in time to market is one key reason that Scrum projects realize a high return of investment. Because revenue and other target benefits start coming up sooner, earlier accumulates means higher total return over time. Welcome to your next steps in Scrum Journey. As you can see, each slide has this icon, which means that all these topics require deeper learning. So, if you want to go for a profitable Scrum and Agile career and have all the necessary skills needed to start with the right sources and tools, I encourage you to check out the first link in the description, which is my Agile and Scrum Masterclass. This is one of the most comprehensive courses on Agile and Scrum market today. All modules are perfectly sorted out so you can start learning today. So let's see what you will get in this masterclass training. Easy to follow, 14 plus hours video training in full HD resolution, more than 140 lectures in 9 gigabytes that walks you through every step of the process from A to Z. My simple strategy from Scrum certification and running Scrum and Agile not just in theory but in practice as well. Full access to the bonus section with even more juicy goods, ready-made templates, tutorials. Instant access to the Agile and Scrum Masterclass private Facebook group, where you get latest course updates. You can ask questions, get help from previous students and our team. And you can learn and work at your own pace with this program. So total value of this program is $1,499, and now it is on huge discount only for $499 one time. Don't waste your time, build and advance your career with Agile and Scrum Masterclass right now. Check the first link in the description. Welcome to the key takeaways and final words of this course. So the first takeaway from this course is how Scrum works and why Scrum works. 2. Now you know all Scrum events. 3. You know the scientific method of empiricism. 4. You know benefits of Scrum. 5. You know where Scrum can be used. And you know your next steps on Agile and Scrum Journey.
The Scrum Guide does not explain how Scrum Master or Product Owner is supposed to approach teams with all the possible characteristics, operate in all possible circumstances, and develop at all possible kinds of products. Instead, it provides a set of values. This is why I have prepared a structured Agile and Scrum program in your next steps in Scrum Journey for those who want to become an individual who has acquired in-depth knowledge of the Scrum framework and has a deep understanding of its values. Feel free to ask questions. I wish you happy learning and thank you for watching.